Hello there, Brick Fanatics! So, behind the scenes, the LEGO Group has shifted its retirement schedule for many of the big LEGO Star Wars sets that have released in the past 12 months. This may well have wide-reaching ramifications for the entire LEGO Star Wars theme. Previously, the following LEGO Star Wars sets were scheduled to be retired by December 2024. 75331 The Razor Crest, 75348 Mandalorian Fang Fighter vs TIE Interceptor, 75352 Emperor's Throne Room Diorama, 75353 Endor Speed Chase Diorama, 75355 X-Wing Starfighter, 75361 Spider Tank, 75363 The Mandalorian N1 Starfighter Microfighter, 75365 Yavin 4 Rebel Base, and 75371 Chewbacca. Stop looking at me like that. These sets are all now scheduled to be retired on the 31st of December 2025, which is the definitive solid date that the LEGO Group will no longer be manufacturing them or sending them out to shops. These may well stick around a little bit longer, depending on what stock is available at local retailers, or they might disappear sooner, depending on at what point the LEGO Group officially stops producing them. But the point is, by December the 31st, 2025, they will no longer be sold by the LEGO Group. The question is, why change all of these sets so that they have longer on store shelves? And there are a few interesting potential reasons for why that might be. You may well have heard that 2023 has been something of a disappointment for the LEGO Group thus far, with profits slumping compared to previous years. This is in large part because of the boom that surrounded LEGO during the pandemic, where people were stuck at home, had nothing better to do, and so spent an awful lot of money on LEGO. This is not just a LEGO thing, this is true across the board. A lot of different companies that sell hobby entertainment materials that can be enjoyed in one's home experienced a phenomenal boom in sales, which are now slowly trickling away to nothing as people have been able to go outside and do outside things again. The other side of this is that a lot of these companies thought to themselves, well, sales are great, but manufacturing costs are rising, so we better put the prices up and people will just have to pay a higher price for our products. And that has backfired in a lot of cases because a lot of people have looked at these higher prices and said, nah, no, I'm not paying that. And this is definitely something that the LEGO Group has experienced as well. This being the case, and with the LEGO Group suffering from the results of inflation, both self-inflicted and just from wider society at large, it makes sense that they're going to try and get the most out of every LEGO set, especially some of these big LEGO Star Wars sets that can just stick around on store shelves forever. Present company excluded, of course. It'll be a surprise if this one really makes it to 2025. No, do you know what? I've had enough of bashing this guy. He's cute. Leave my lovely little Chewbacca alone. Yeah. Changed my mind. I love him now. He's my son. I'm not going to say that. That's going a step too far. In a recent video, we noted that the LEGO Harry Potter theme appears to have slipped down the sales chart compared with other LEGO brands. And it may be a case that with LEGO Star Wars still doing fairly well, the LEGO Group has said, okay, do you know what? We're going to prioritize the LEGO sets that are definitely selling the best. So these ones that are doing really well, we'll keep them around for a bit longer. This is a standard practice that is common all the time, but at a time, especially when the LEGO Group is suffering a little bit, it makes sense that they're particularly throwing their resources behind the kinds of LEGO sets that continue to do well. What's interesting about this list, though, is that in addition to kind of the evergreen Star Wars sets like Chewbacca here, like the Millennium Falcon, there's quite a lot of Mandalorian sets. This is interesting because The Mandalorian has now long gone off of the schedule for what's relevant for Disney Plus subscribers, which is apparently the thing that drives a large chunk of the LEGO Group sales. Now, Disney Plus is in an interesting position at the moment, and it's hard not to compare where Disney Plus is with where the LEGO Group appears to be going. Disney Plus has an issue with holding on to content. So in the first few years of Disney Plus, Disney put out a huge amount of shows and films and special material that was just for this new streaming service for the sake of convincing you that you should ditch Netflix, ditch Amazon Prime, and just get Disney Plus. And that has worked fairly well up to a point, but they're starting to run out of steam. Because again, with inflation, one of the things that people are cutting back on is entertainment media. Do you really need to be spending that much on Disney Plus every month? And the cost of Disney Plus has been rising as well. And a lot of people have been saying, I don't actually need it after all. And with Disney Plus having so much stuff, the company has decided to pare down a lot of stuff and take off things like the Willow Disney Plus show and just make that gone, focusing on the stuff that's really doing very well and is getting people to continue watching and therefore getting people to continue subscribing. One casualty of this, the new Spiderwick Chronicles show, has been removed from Disney Plus before it aired. Before Disney Plus released it, they have already said, we've finished this, we're just not going to release it. We're not going to put it on the streaming platform. And that's really harsh for everybody who was involved in making that. But apparently the logic is Disney's got to cut some money from somewhere. It has clearly looked at the statistics on this and decided that it's not going to bring in enough subscribers to be actually worth releasing, which is harsh. This is where Disney Plus is at the moment. If it's not the biggest thing in the world, then it's not important enough for Disney to keep it around. And we're probably going to see significantly fewer Disney Plus shows with larger budgets focusing on the more lucrative IPs so that they can make the most of every single new show. What this potentially means for the LEGO Group is if there are fewer Disney Plus shows, every LEGO set that they release that's based on a Disney Plus show needs to be able to stretch further. It also means that because these Disney Plus shows are the big things, they're going to be sticking around in the public consciousness a little bit longer. Where previously, you know, you'd have a season of The Mandalorian and then you'd have the Book of Boba Fett back to back and then you'd have something else coming up after that. And it ultimately had the effect of kind of weakening the amount each one of these stayed in the public consciousness. Whereas now, if Disney Plus is doing fewer shows, then that means that each of the LEGO sets tied to these shows are going to remain relevant for slightly longer because the shows are sticking around as the big thing for a little bit longer as well. That's the uncynical read on this, at least. There is something else which means that Disney Plus shows are going to be sticking around for a bit longer each. The strikes. Basically, it boils down to this. Disney is not paying their actors and their writers well enough for their actors and their writers to feel like they can continue to do this as a job. So the writers are on strike and the actors are on strike, and suddenly Disney has no shows. None at all. And it's not just Disney, it's a bunch of different companies, but Disney is the one that's relevant to this discussion and one of the big leaders in the industry, so it's the one that we're going to focus on right now. What this means for the LEGO Group is that suddenly there are a bunch of TV shows and movies which were going to release, which would have potentially had LEGO tie-ins, which suddenly aren't on the release schedule. And the LEGO Group have got things that they're making that they just can't put out yet because it's not relevant. Now, sometimes these do tend to sneak out anyway. We got the Black Widow Lego set, for example, way earlier than we should have done. We got the Wonder Woman 1984 Lego sets a little bit earlier than we should have done as well, where they just kind of end up throwing these things out when there's a delay, because what else are you going to do with them? With Lego Star Wars, a big money earner, you don't necessarily need to be tied with whatever is the latest show. You can do evergreen sets like Chewbacca, you can do evergreen sets like the UCS X-Wing or the Razor Crest, anything like this, and people are going to still buy them. They're not going to become irrelevant just because it's been 6 months since they were put on store shelves. It makes absolute sense to extend some of these lifespans, bearing in mind that we're probably going to get fewer topical LEGO Star Wars sets in the near future, unless Disney decides that they're actually going to acquiesce to the strikers' demands. This being the case, if the LEGO Group can't rely on Disney Plus shows next year for its LEGO Star Wars sets, we may end up seeing the range diversify a bit. We may get a few more eclectic LEGO Star Wars sets, things from different pockets of Star Wars mythology and canon that might not necessarily otherwise get much attention. But that is just a little bit of speculation. The thing that we know for certain is that the LEGO Star Wars sets that are currently on store shelves are going to remain on store shelves for quite a while longer. So if you are a person who is contemplating a few of these sets, or if you're waiting for the best possible deal, just bear in mind that you've got a little bit longer to wait. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, do the whole YouTube thing. Make sure that if you are making a LEGO Star Wars purchase, you use our QR code up here, which takes you straight to the LEGO website via our affiliate link. Helps to support the work that Brick Fanatics does. Make sure that you also go to the Brick Fanatics website for more coverage of all things LEGO Star Wars, and make sure that you sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything LEGO related ever again. Thank you for watching.